Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, part of the Data Management 2025 badge series that we're running, and it is all about clearing stock transactions and deleting records. Key part of data management, especially if you use the stock part of the accountancy software, Sage 50. Obviously, my name is Matt. As you can see on the screens in front of you, I'm going to be guiding you through this process today, and hopefully giving you some top tips as well on how to successfully manage your data, have a trim data set. What we're going to be covering then, what is involved in today's webinar? Well, number one, why should we clear stock transactions and delete records? Is it important? Is it imperative? Is it something we must do? Something we've touched on in every single one of the webinars we've run so far is the why behind what we're about to do, because that's important to understand if it is something that you want to do moving forward or not. Manually deleting records, we're going to look at clear stock transactions, deleting stock records, and obviously, why can't I delete a record? That's important. Often a frustrating thing that for people who are calling in is, why can't I delete X, Y, or Z? And I shall tell you for why, and I shall show you ways that you can find out for why as well. After that, we're going to be looking at some further support as usual and going through the Q&A section. As I mentioned, this is the Data Management Badge 2025. To earn that badge, simply attend 5 of the 7 topics that we are running. As you can see, today is number 6. So just one more for the 7 out of 7, or maybe one more for your 5 out of 7. One that you must attend and is mandatory is the quiz. That's going to be hosted by myself and Michael. You must attend that quiz. If not, you will not gain access to the Data Management 2025 badge. Rules of the day, housekeeping, we always go through them. If you've been to the previous 5 webinars, you'll know these already. If not, these are the rules essentially in front of you. Your microphone is muted automatically. If you're going to cough or sneeze, don't worry, you won't interject or interrupt anything that we're doing. Flow will not be stopped. We will continue as planned. Handout. There is a colour handout and also a black and white handout. If you want to print it, use a black and white one, take notes. I'll do that, nice and old fashioned. But if you're going to keep it on your desktop, maybe get the colour one. If you do download it and you do print it off, remember, you can only click on the links if they're on your PC, quite obvious. So keep a copy, a digital copy, because there is some help articles out there which will be of interest to you, and also help in registering for future badges that we will hold. There's more to come in that arena. Also, we're joined by Abby today. She's going to be answering your questions with myself. So if you do have questions, we are going to be prioritising the subject matter questions first. Any other questions we will answer after the webinar. Webinar scheduled for around about 45 minutes. I'm expecting it to take about 30-35, if I'm honest with you. It is quite demonstration heavy. But if you just fire in your questions, we'll answer them as and when we can. If not, as always, you'll be aware, we'll get in touch with you directly afterwards with an answer to said question if it has been missed. So that's the housekeeping. Shall we crack on? Yes, we shall. So first off, why clear stock transactions and delete records? First and foremost, it's optional. As is everything to do with data management, it is optional. We recommend it because you get up to 20,000 product and service records. That's a recommended limit, not hard and fast, by the way. If you are approaching 20,000 product or service records, you may experience slower speeds when running reports, generally in your program. It's the first thing a technician will look at when you call in, is to look at how much of these recommended limits are you using. You might be currently at 25,000 product or service records and your systems are absolutely fine because your hardware, your internet, your network, etc., can handle that. Majoritively down the middle, we find that around about 20,000 is where things start to be a bit slower. Also, removing your older transactions and records that you don't need in your live company, it can decrease the time it takes for you to find certain records. So you're not wading through old information, looking at annoying old records, thinking, why is that still there, in order to find that relevant bit of detail that you need. Your backups are going to be smaller, they're going to take up less space, and your archive process is going to be quicker as well. Generally, running processes potentially would speed up. I always say potentially there because there's no guarantee, but we see it majoritively. it will do. Now, clearing stock and deleting your records, what we're going to be looking at today is your stock items, your non-stock items, and also your service items, which obviously is professional only, as it says there in front of you. So we're going to be glossing over some of this. I'm not going into too great detail because we're going to be catering for the wider scope. But we're going to be looking at how to do this and also tips on how you can do this fast and effectively, because obviously, like anything that you have to tidy up, you don't really want to do it, if we're honest. It's something that you just kind of do, isn't it? So how can you get this job out of the way as quickly as possible, but make sure that everything is done accurately? Now, first off, with the demonstration that we're about to head into, we're going to be looking at clearing stock transactions. So essentially, you go to Tools, Period End, Clear Stock, and you'll see that screen in front of you. You're always going to be prompted to back up as part of this process. That's kind of a non-negotiable in this scenario, is backing up. Because if you accidentally, and let's face it, we're all humans, if you accidentally wipe or clear your transactions on all of your stock records, somebody somewhere is not going to be very happy with that. So by backing up, you're ensuring if that mistake happens, you've got that saved point, that insurance policy that you can reload, pretend like it never happened, essentially. And then you can do the process correctly without that human error involved. So non-negotiable for everybody. I'm not going to hammer it home as I usually do, but backing up is imperative as part of this. And also some of the reporting considerations, you may want to run some reports before you do any of this, just in case they're excluded from any figures. If you don't even need those reports, save them in a file on your desktop. It's better to need and not have than have. It's better, sorry, have and not need than to need and not have, as the old saying goes. So just make sure preparation is there as well. But clearing stock transactions, let's dive into it. Top tip for this one is if you've got more than one screen or the ability to click along, please do so. You can do it in your demonstration data. I wouldn't do it in your live data as a click along because you'll want your full attention in doing what you're doing. So if you can, use your demonstration data. I myself am going to be using a company that is created just called ClearStock for the sake of this demonstration anyway. And we're going to be going through the stages in which we clear stock first, and then we're going to be looking at deleting the records as well. Any questions during this moment of time, please ask away. Remember, Abby is here and myself, I'll try and pick up as many as we possibly can. So what you should be seeing in front of you now is my Sage 50 accounts. Wonderful. And as you see, the company at the top there is ClearStock. On the left-hand side, we're going to walk into the module products and services, because this is where the records lie. Now again, with this being a demonstration, I have created perfect world examples. Some examples that you have may be a bit more complex and unique. So please, again, forgive me for that. We are basically doing perfect world processes here, and also a little bit of why can't it be deleted at the end. But as you can see, I've got stock A, stock B, stock C, and a few items here that we're going to be looking at today. These are the ones we're going to be focusing on. Firstly, about deleting the stock itself and deleting the product code itself. What are the rules? Well, the rules are essentially we want to have free stock, so nothing in stock whatsoever, nothing allocated, and also no activity. So how do we check that? Well, first off this screen here, you can quite see there's zero quantity in stock at all. You can also check its activity by double clicking into that item. Having a look down to the left-hand side here at the activity, and there's nothing. So essentially, this has been input, never used. No activity whatsoever, no stock for it whatsoever. So can I delete this? Absolutely, I can do. Like it never happened. And if I did want to come back and re-input it at a later date with exactly the same details, I could do, because there's no activity being registered for it, and there's no stock against it. It's like it hasn't existed. So how would I do that? Quite easy. Highlight, and you can right click and select delete. is just down here, or you can highlight, double click there, highlight and click delete at the top here. Do you wish to delete the selected records? Yes, and it's gone. Perfect world scenario, that wasn't it? Quite easy. Now, stock B, example 2. Going to come across a problem with this one, as you can tell. So I want to delete this. What I'm going to do is open it up, check the activity. There is activity there. But the first thing I want to notice is that there is stock there as well. So if I go to delete this item, it's going to come up with this message here. The records, not all of the selected records, could be deleted. These are the possible reasons. The Sage doesn't tell you the exact reason because there could be a lot of reasons why, so it'll just give you examples of things that you should look for. So number 1 to 5 are the things that we want to check. Is the item still in stock? Well, yes, we know it is. It's right here. Does it have transactions? Well, we looked at the activity and we saw it did. Are there possible subcomponents? So if you're using bill of materials in the professional variant, what you want to have a look at is see if there's any subcomponents that are active in that bill of materials. If you're not, then you could ignore that. Have any of the product been allocated? Are there any allocations there? Is there anything on order? Essentially, is this an active product in your system? That's what all these 5 amount to, isn't it, really, if we're honest? But we can see straight away that this one here is in quantity. So this essentially needs to be undone before we can delete it, doesn't it? Stock C. Let's have a quick look at this one. So with stock C, if we have a look, 0 quantity, nothing whatsoever in the quantity section. But if we head over to the activity, okay, we've ordered 2 in and we've written 2 out. So there's activity against this. This is the important part for this section. There is nothing in stock, but there is activity. There is an audit trail on it. And this is what we need to get rid of in order to make sure that we can delete that particular product, regardless of the quantity level of stock. The fact is that there's still business there. There's still a historical evidence there that we need to get rid of, isn't there? So let's focus, shall we, on stock C just for now. We're going to go to Tools, Period End, and we're going to select Clear Stock, because what we want to do is clear the activity of that stock item. And click Yes, go into Continue. So here we have the options of clear stock. You can also select to delete records if you want to at a later date, but at this demonstration, for this instance, we're going to look at clearing the stock activity of that stock C. So this is where you've got to be careful. First thing, it's going to go through the rules. Transactions can only be removed if they are dated on or before the date specified below, and that is up to and including today's date, the date that you're actually doing this. The reason for that is if you adjust a stock record from 1 to 0, which we're about to do later on, and you do that today, why would you want to wait to delete it? You want to do it that day, don't you? So it is up to and including the day that you are on. They're not linked to a project record. So if you do have any projects active, and this is quite a popular question as well, you would have to remove that project in order to be able to successfully delete that product, because that product is then linked to that project. Therefore, there is activity there, which you can't get rid of unless you remove the project itself. So again, before you do anything like that at all, maybe you want to speak to a technician or somebody who manages the data, but definitely take a backup. And obviously, quantity used equal to quantity in. So this is where it goes down to 0. Now, what we want to make sure of, and this is where you need to be careful again, and I'm going to go over this later on in the webinar, is this button here, clear transactions on all 95 stock records up until the 31st of July 2025. Now, if I do clear stock, it's not just going to affect C, which is what I'm after, stock C. This is going to take all of my stock records up to that date and just wipe the activity. Maybe I don't want that. And in this scenario, I definitely don't. It's just the one that I'm looking at, isn't it? So I want to select this option here on selected records. Once I put a little dot in that radio button there, this window will open. And this is where I can get specific into which ones I'm going to be choosing. Now, stock C has no quantity in stock, but remember it did have activity, and that's the one that I was looking at. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to pick a date, which is up to today's date, and this is for me. In your instance, it may be different, but I'm picking today's date just so I can doubly make sure that any transaction, including up until today, is wiped. So to repeat that again, I've specifically selected the one product record that I wanted to remove the transaction history for. I've selected the date, and then I'm just going to click clear stock. Now, this is where it's going to prompt to take a backup. And I'm going to do data files only. The reason for that is I'm only affecting the data. I'm going to save this to my desktop just in case I've made a mistake, i.e. if I had cleared all 95 records, then at least I know I've got the insurance policy there. In this instance, it's going to be quite quick. So I'm going to click OK. And then the backup is going to say that it has been successful. Clear stock up until that date on that individual product is now done. So I'm going to close, go back to my products and services, stock C. If I then click on activity, which is up here as well, nothing. So that adjustment of 2 in and 1 out and 1 out, remember that we saw, I'll access it by the details section as well, just so there's no confusion. The activity has now disappeared. So can I delete this record? Absolutely, I can do. Gone. Back to stock B. If we are to click on activity, there is still activity there because I didn't select that, remember? And that is because I still haven't removed the quantity that is in stock. In this example, let's say that I haven't sold this item in years. And that one that is saying we have in stock there, I can't find it anywhere in the warehouse. No idea where it's gone. May have been lost or damaged, I don't know. Either way, I just know that I'm willing to write it off. So all I'm going to do here is do an adjustment out. Highlight, adjustment out. How many am I adjusting out? Just the one, because that's all we have. Click save, done. So now there's nothing in stock for stock B. Click on activity, activity's still there. So again, what are we going to do? We are going to go to tools, period end, clear stock. I'm going to bring up that window I showed before. I'm going to select today's date. This time we're going to do it this way. So we're on the 14th all day. I'm going to select my record, which I know is B. Click OK. This is then going to remove transactions after it's done another backup. This is how important backups are. It's making you do them. No mistakes. So I'm going to click close, go back to my products and services. Stock item now has been 0. Even the activity of me removing that is being removed. And I can just click delete. Done. Excellent. So they're the 3 stock items, essentially, that I need to get rid of. One was Perfect World with no activity and no stock, quantity in stock. Second one had no quantity in stock, but it had activity. And the third one had quantity and activity. That's how you would remove all 3 examples. Now this is where it gets a little bit easier for you. So with a non-stock item, obviously there's going to be nothing in stock. There's also going to be no activity recorded for it as well. The same for a service record. You wouldn't have a service record in stock. For example, if you were a hairdresser, you wouldn't have one haircut in stock, would you? So there's going to be absolutely nothing for a service there. And activity is exactly the same. So with these 2 records, it's quite simple. I can highlight both of them at the same time, and I can just delete. Do I wish to delete these records? And they're gone, just like that. It's quite easy when you understand the mechanics of it and how it works. So go back to the demonstration here. So it's all about making sure that if there is stock in there, zeroing it off, there is activity, clearing it, which is quite simply done. Tools, period end, clear stock. Now, quickly, if we have a look at the bill of materials section here, you can see the quantity is 0 in stock. In activity, there is 0 as well. But if I was to try and delete this bill of materials, the message comes up again. And this is for people who are using the professional variant and bill of materials. Essentially, because the bill of materials, as you'll know, is made up of subcomponents. So what you would have to do is focus on the subcomponents first and remove them from the bill of materials before you could delete that actual record. As you can see, the components are here below. And if we went in to the bill of materials section, you can see here. But we're going to touch on that momentarily again. Just want to go through the deletions and what have you. But hopefully that demonstration just on those 3 record sets, or 5 in total if you include the non-stock item and service record, is quite self-explanatory as to how you clear the transactions, also a little bit on deleting them there as well. And that's how you would do it manually. Just checking, making sure everything's ready to go. Now what we're going to look at is not clearing the stock and then deleting. We're just going to look at deleting the records and using the wizard to do this. The scenario I would use for this is if you are just quickly wanting to have a look potentially at what isn't in stock and what has no activity. So have products been entered, a year, 2 years ago that you were expecting to sell, or services you're expecting to provide, but it never came to fruition. That's a very niche kind of example that I'm giving you there, but you may be able to attribute this to something else in your real world scenarios. So if we have a look at that particular section again, click along in your demonstration data if you can. So what you would essentially do in this instance is I'm just going to look and see what is available for me to delete. That's how I would phrase this. I'm going to come to the same place, exactly here, and I'm going to go to make sure nothing's highlighted. So again, just to make sure, swap, clear, swap, clear. Swap highlights absolutely everything, clear, unhighlight. And by pressing it twice, you're making certain that even if you've highlighted something down here and forgot about it, swap, clear, gets rid of that highlight as well. It's a good little tip, that. So we're going to have a look here at deletions. Tools, period end, delete stock. It's going to bring up exactly the same screen as what we had before. And this option is purely for us to, in my example, to see what can be deleted. What haven't I used? What has got 0 stock? So if I start the scan, guess what? Prompting a backup. I'm going to click OK to that. Backup has been successful. Click OK. And then it's going to come up with these 3 products. So for whatever reason, in my stage, I've never had stock for these. I've never had any activity for them either. And that is because, again, in this scenario, I've never sold them. I wanted to at one stage, but never got around to getting them in. So I'm quite happy for these to be deleted. So I would just swap to highlight them all. Click OK. And let's say you're about to permanently delete 3 product records. Are you sure you want to continue? I'm going to click yes. And that's it. Those records have now gone. No issues whatsoever. So I'm going to click close. If I go back to my products and services, now I only have 88 products because I've deleted so many during this webinar. I've deleted ones that I don't require. So that section of deleting your records there by using tools, period end, and then delete stock. If you were to press that button now, it would essentially show you what's got no activity and what's got no quantity. And you can make a decision if you want to delete it or not. Good little feature that, I think, because maybe you don't want to wade through pages and pages of products to do that. But if you know specifically which products you want to delete or adjust or clear the stock for, then just work through the list that you have and select them. Best way of doing that is tools, period end, clear stock, and then working through this part here, where you can select which ones you want to clear. Done and dusted. So it's quite simple when you think about it. Once you know the answers to the questions, it's quite simple. So I'll put it that way, which is an obvious sentiment. But some people can be daunted by the stock aspects and the record keeping aspects of this. So essentially, hopefully that's made it a bit less daunting for you. Now, when it comes to why can't I delete a record, there's reports that are available for you to run, which will tell you why. The majority of calls and queries that we get with regards to I can't delete this record, there is no activity, there is no quantity, everything's fine, is because it's linked to something else, like a project or bill of materials. So just to have a look at that example there that I'm explaining, the bill of materials side of things. As you can see here, there is a bill of materials which is made up of these components, component 1, 2, and 3. Okay, if I am wanting to delete this particular item here, I would have to double click in and bring up the actual product record itself. Then I would go to activity, just double check, yeah, there's nothing there, and then go to bill of materials. And this is where I need to focus, because what I need to do is deconstruct this bill of materials. I need to remove these components from that overall product. Maybe this is in real world scenario, let's say this is a computer, okay, and these 3 components are what make that computer. And I've got these 3 components in stock. Those 3 components combined make this 4 main, okay? But I'm not going to be making that PC anymore with these components, so I want to delete it. How would I go about that? Simply enter the bill of materials on the actual bill of materials itself, and then it is F8 in order to delete, line by line. You've successfully then removed those items, those components, and then you'll be able to delete it. Sorry, I didn't save it there. And you'll be able to successfully remove that bill of materials all in all. So that's the way that you would have to do it. But again, what I would suggest is running that reverse product explosion report. And where's that? So this report will essentially reveal to you why certain products cannot be deleted. I'll show you an example of it now. Download the handout and click on this in the bottom right-hand corner, how to delete products. You'll be asked then to download a backup, and that backup is to be restored. But don't worry, that backup is just reports, and it's reports only. So when you do restore that backup, it's not going to overwrite the data, the live data that you have in your Sage, okay? All it's going to do is add reports to the library in which you have. Let me show you. So if I go to my products and services here, I'm just going to do swap clear, just to make sure, and I click on reports. I've favorited it already. But if you go to product explosion and bill of materials, the backup that I installed, or restored, should I say, is this report here. I saved it to my favorites because I often can't find it, if I'm honest with you. I look at that many reports. But then what I would do is I would click preview, click OK, and it's going to run this report for me, and it's going to show me why, essentially, and what is linked to what. So 4 main is all there, parent stock, but I've deleted and removed the subcategories, remember. So no longer is it made up of anything else. But it does have activity, quantity used. So that would need to be removed before I could delete it. But I have removed the subcomponents. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, if it doesn't make sense, you can always fire a question in for us. We'll be able to answer it. Or again, what I would recommend is if you're like me and you read things and like to practice them, go to the Help Center article on how to delete product records and practice it in your demonstration data. Instead of using your live data, avoid making any kind of error and use and utilize your demonstration data, or restore your company into your practice company. So remember, that is a copy of your live data in a practice kind of arena, sandbox scenario. You can make as many mistakes in that arena as you want because it's just practice data. There's a webinar on that, demonstration and practice data and how to use them. Sage.co.uk/webinars for that one. And I would go through it now, but again, because we've made a standalone webinar for it, you could understand we'd be here until 12:30, wouldn't we? And nobody's got time to listen to me drone on about that today. So what I would do essentially is follow the Help Center articles, practice it in your demonstration or your practice data. Click on the links in the handout if you haven't already, because these records and these Help Center articles are going to guide you through that process. So we ran over from the 30 minutes that I quoted, but we're still under the 35. That I said it potentially could stretch to. Any questions coming through? I believe Abby's picked the majority of them up there. She's been very busy indeed. So very well done to Abby. While she's answering that last question that she's picked up there, just to go through a little bit of information here, any further webinars, as I said before, sage.co.uk/webinars. Have a look there for 50 accounts and payroll, also HR webinars as well. And in the future, there's also going to be a section on future badging events like that we're running currently. We're going to make more of these moving forwards so you can add these incredible badges to your LinkedIn, show employers, colleagues, members of the public as well that you are qualified in data management 2025 with Sage 50 accounts. I see them all the time on LinkedIn, love seeing them as well. Gives us real value. Speaking of value, if you could give us some feedback on this webinar, the series of webinars that we've been running, that would be most appreciated. We read absolutely every single comment that you send back in. And we also work off the suggestions that you leave for us as well, because as many suggestions comes in says we want to see this kind of webinar or that kind of webinar. And if there's enough of our customers and clients asking for the same thing, we will build it. Case in point, this data management series was asked for, therefore we built it and we've delivered it as well. So please keep your suggestions coming in. It's how we evolve and how we grow. But the last question has been answered, so I want to thank you all for your attendance and your attention today. Remember, we've got one more left next week, as well as the quiz that you must attend in order to get the badge. Any questions, please email us or leave a comment in the survey. Other than that, I'm going to leave you to your very busy days. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully I'll speak to you all soon. Bye for now.